G'day guys, it's Jake here. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Please do your own research when it comes to investing. Alright, let's go. So the topic for this video is talking about specifically just Bitcoin on its own and some of the news that's come in and some of the interesting things we can look at in regards to where we are in the cycle, compare some previous ones, and yeah, let's dive right in. So the first tweet we have here is by Simply Bitcoin developing. According to David Bailey's sources, China will unban Bitcoin in late 2024. It's only a matter of time, says Xi Jinping here, the smile on his face. And yeah, I do remember him banning Bitcoin back in 2021, right when we had that first peak, and then we had that crash going into May, June, July. And it was on the announcement that Tesla was questioning the energy efficiency of Bitcoin and wanted to have a meeting with miners to see how they could be efficient with their energy consumption, because he was concerned. He wanted people to. He firstly announced he's going to accept Bitcoin for buying Teslas, and then that sort of fizzled out, and we had that big dip in the middle of the year, 2021. And we also had China banning Bitcoin. So now they're looking at unbanning it in late this year, which is quite interesting. Okay, next tweet. US makes big move on Bitcoin. Fed Chair Powell says Bitcoin has staying power as an asset class. Came from the Fed Chair himself. Very, 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 very interesting, eh? He's given into it, the Federal Reserve. You think the banks are against it and they want it to end, and it's a threat to the system, people fleeing the dollar and going to a safe haven like Bitcoin, which is basically digital gold, essentially. Hasn't quite, it's got a long way to go to get up to catch up to gold in terms of market capitalization, but it's certainly something that the Fed acknowledges is a legit asset, especially now that it has an ETF, and you got hedge funds, piling in. You got retirement funds looking into it, and yeah, it's very, very, very interesting to see that we have a guy like Fed Chair Powell starting to recognise it as a an asset that's here to stay, essentially. So yeah, very good news. We also have a tweet that's kind of a bit of FUD that was going out there at the moment, and he talks. King Young Jew talks about Mt. Gox FUD is overestimated. Market cap growth outpaces realised cap growth, showing strong demand. Since 2023, 224 billion in Bitcoin sold. All right. Yet the price is up 350%. Even if Mt. Gox 3 billion is sold on Kraken, it's just 1% of the realised cap increase in this bull cycle, which is manageable liquidity. You can have it here, chart here, Bitcoin market cap and the delta growth rate. And yeah, it looks pretty steady, Demand's still strong. He's downloading that in his chart. And when you look at the next bit, which he talked about the government in Germany and their sell pressure compared to the, realised cap of Bitcoin, and it's this little purple shaded area here. And the German government, even after that fear had a dip, people blamed it on that. But really, it's insignificant compared to realised cap. Like, how could that cause a big dip in Bitcoin's price, So I don't really see it. But you got to have something to blame, a narrative, But they usually think the narrative leads price, but it's usually the other way around. Price leads the narrative, because there is, there's people with emotions. There's other things going on. There's other things you can blame the dips for, but yeah, the retail and the people on Twitter, the majority of people blame these dips and for an event like, the German government selling and Mt. Gox coming onto the market, which there was about 5.8 billion worth of Bitcoin that was circulating, moving from address to address, and people are starting to fear that it's going to cause the next dip. But this guy here talks about, even if $3 billion is sold, it's just the 1% of the realized cap in this bull cycle, which is manageable liquidity. And I'll show you in the next one why. So the largest amount of net inflow of Bitcoin since the end of June. Despite the negative news, Bitcoin's price is stable at 65k with consistent institutional inflow. It's only a matter of time before we see Bitcoin at 100k. So even if, like I said, billion was sold, we have 400 million here, 300 million, 300 million. There's your $1 billion right there, absorbed. This is the last 30 days, going back. We've had some outflows as well, but the inflows are holding up steady, and they're very consistent, very gradual. And you have IBIT, which is BlackRock, then Fidelity, ARK, Bitwise, and so forth. But yeah, you look at these things, the FUD that's going around at the moment with Mt. Gox and creditors receiving their Bitcoin back, it'll get absorbed. Don't worry about that. The funds are still accumulating, and they have to. When the inflows come in, and they have to sell when the price goes down. They have to match the depositors. In terms of what's in their fund. So very, very interesting there. I can tell you about FUD. And we have a chart here by Into the Cryptoverse, which talks about percentage of supply in profit and loss. And it talks about percentage of supply and profit and loss, which is reading around 88%, and the loss is 11%. So we've had some, it sort of comes up, and we sort of they both touch each other, and they come down, and that sort of marks a bottom. In Bitcoin, it comes down, have a little peak here. They both diverge right to the bottom end of this band, come up a little bit. We have a dip, we come back down again, and we have the peak as they come out as far as wide as possible. The jaws clamp shut, and we have a dip. They come out again. We have a peak. They come in again. We have a bottom. Come out. We have a cycle top, and then it comes back down, and that comes up, clamp shut, and has a little tiny dip, and then we had a spike here, right? The pandemic touch each other. They come out. We have a top right to the end there. We have another top as they both come out again, and they come in. You have a bottom, and they come out, and that's where we are at the moment. We've come right to the end here, and we're starting to come in. Will this be the local top, and we can come clamp shut, and we have another bottom like this, or we have something like a dip in 2021 where it didn't even get close, but we did have a dip regardless. So anything can happen there. It's a very, very interesting indicator to get you to understand what percentage of the supply is in profit or in loss. So yeah, very, very telling, interesting indicator. All right, we'll go over the charts now, talk about Bitcoin price, specifically Bitcoin during different summer periods, going over the years, going back as far as 2012, and just comparing what price action did in those periods to get an idea of what this throughout this summer in America will potentially do in regards to where price will head, whether we're bullish or bearish or neutral. So we're in this period right now. We just started summer. Started up here, 63k-ish. Now we're sort of back there again. So have gone down, gone back up. So we've just started. Now what's happened previously to summer? You can see we had a period 2023, which we started up here, 30k, And we've gone down to 25k. So we had a down period and a very boring. It started down anyway, went up and then down. So sideways chop, marked in red this whole period. Back to 2022, we had sideways, went up to here, August, and then back down. So sideways, nothing happens. So pretty bearish neutral readings. If you count this low, it's pretty much sideways. And then you go back to 2021. We started down, went sideways for a bit, and then we shot up, and we came back down. Until you tested this level here, but we really pretty much had an up period in 2021, which is a bullish year, which made sense. We had a bit more exciting summer. Go back to 2020, and we had sideways, started down, we went up, and then went down, was slightly up. So technically it's still more bullish, but if you really count back to this level, it really didn't do anything from end of May to end of September, which was another summer boring period. And the halving year, which would win at the moment. We also have 2019, which we started up here around 13k, and then we went down to 8k, and it was just down, boring, and more so down though in the summer period. Go back to the summer 2018, and we had just sideways. We had started down here, 6k, then up 8.5, then back down 6.5k, up roughly. So sideways, nothing happened. Pretty boring summer. That was a bear year as well. To 2022, and we had 2017, which is a very, very parabolic year. Very, 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 very exciting for the altcoins, which are pretty much coming out, like Ethereum's first bull run, and many other altcoins had their ICO launches, and this was the start of the fundraising for these altcoins, and they promised to be the next best thing, Bitcoin, against Bitcoin. But yeah, we had this sort of started down here, 2.2, and then we shot up to nearly 5k-ish, and then we went down a little bit. So we had more of a bullish period in the summer here in 2017, same as 2021. So I mentioned before, had more of an uptick because that was more of a bullish year, post-halving year. The altcoins were going absolutely parabolic. And then we can go back to 2016, the halving year, which is what we're in now. And we started up here, $700, went down, it's really up, down, and then sort of ended up in the middle of this box, around $600. It's really a nothing burger, really crappy summer. Go back to 2015, this sort of went up, 300 and down 200, because obviously you go back further and further, Bitcoin becomes more volatile, so those price swings will be more prevalent as it was such a small market cap. And we're down here, so very much a down period, boring summer. 2015, 2014 was just down only, just down from the top 650 all the way down to 360, so big move down in the summer. Go back to 2013, which was a post-halving year, a bull year. I'll zoom in a little bit if it's easier. We had a period where we started to the middle, $90, down at 60, shot back up, 140, and then sort of ended back in the middle of this box. So really just traded sideways in the summertime, 2013. And as far as back as I can go on my chart, it's 2012, which we had more of a green sort of halving year. So it started down $6, went up to 13. We had a big swing up and down, would have shook a lot of people out. They were really early investors in Bitcoin. See these wicks, just shows you how volatile it was back in 2012. And we sort of ended up here, 6 to 13, so we doubled in the summer. It's because that was all early on, which makes sense. And the monetary policy was pretty loose back then, which favored Bitcoin. So you had green. Go on a logarithmic chart so to give you a better understanding of what's going on. So we can go back. So we had positive. This is more neutral. If we want to count it from the bottom, it was more positive. So technically you can say that was more green. So 2 green summers. We had red in 2014, 15, red, 2016, more or less from the top to the middle. From the start, we had green in 2017. We had nothing burger here in 2018. 2019 was bearish. 2020 was sideways, more so up. So it was slightly green. If you really want to count from the bottom to the mid-range, it was more green, but nevertheless it was sideways. Green in 2021, as I mentioned. 2022 was sideways. 2023 was down. If you really count at the start of the summer. If you count it back here, mid-June, before the summer, it was pretty much sideways. And now we're sort of sideways, starting from the start of the summer to now. And yeah, so very mixed, but mostly boring periods, as I mentioned. And yeah, summer's not really exciting. It's not where the big moves happen. These big moves here, they happen more so in the Q4 period. You had this big move up going into the bull year. That was Q4, so the fall. Going into winter. And then we had the Q4 period here, which is more down. Let's go from there to there. Pretty much had a down period. Q4 there. Right after the sort of the summer period, sort of up, then went down. So the more volatile moves happened in Q4, more or less. And also, you can say we had a huge down move here. And then we had an explosive move up. Going into the next year. And same as this one here, Q4. Big move up. Okay. Let's get rid of these. Sorry for that. It's explosive moves, explosive move down, up. Obviously, because that was the bull year. We had this period here, we also went sideways for a bit, and it went down. And we sort of the next quarter went up. We really had pretty boring, bad, sort of downward, slowly sloping and creeping down in the 2019 period. And then we had a terrible 2018 Q4, massive down period. We had a huge up period in Q4, the post-halving year, which was the bull year, which made sense, 2017. If you go back to 2016, halving year, it sort of went up nicely, Q4. So see more volatile moves in the Q4 periods is what I'm trying to get at here. I'll show you then again in 2015, big moves up in either direction, up or down, okay? It's down massively, 2014. 2015 was up, 2014 was down. End of this bull cycle here, 2014. So I'll give you the arrow. We had a big down move. So it was going too far. Let's go back to January. Oh, actually, I've got to start from the box. So it wasn't up. Apologies. 2013 was big up move. Massive. We had more of a sideways action here in Q4 2012. Didn't do anything. Okay. So that was a sideways period before really going up for Q1 period, going into Q2. And yeah, I can't really go back. You can see it was a peak up here in 2011, and we did come down. So it was more volatile there, as shown. So I'm just showing you, we have downs, ups, very volatile moves. Summer's sort of more boring, but we did have an aggressive summer here. So that was a bear year, 2014, bearish year. You know, a massive move up here. 2017, which is a bull year, which makes sense. And then we had a big move down. That was next quarter. So, yeah, big move down, up, massive move up. And then we really had a big move going into the next quarter, which is sort of a blow off top here in November, which is sort of sooner than expected. Bitcoin topped and then went down. So sort of went up and down if we really wanted to count this move. And we went down in 2022, of course. Q4 of 2023, up. And will we have a period of consolidation in the summer? Nothing happens. Yeah, and we have more of a bullish scenario. We do break up coming into Q4 and have a massive move up. Probably not that high, I don't think. Around 110k, 100k coming into the end of Q4. Or will it play out a bit differently? And we have more of a bearish scenario where we do come down, retest this upwards trend line, and then we come down, retest from this downward sloping line here, connect the lows, and then come more down to 41k coming into the end of the year and bouncing around here. More or less, that could happen as well. That's a possibility if the recession hits. It's a bearish scenario, as I believe will come back down to this. If I zoom out a bit more, upward sloping trend line here. Started back in late 2022, and I've got to show you a bit more accurate lines. Get the logarithmic off for a second, and show you. We touched it back in September. Will we revisit this longer term trend line or this more steeper trend line, which we faked out here? We went actually below it and back up above it. And yeah, let's hold. And this yellow line here too, 61k. And go higher, or will we go lower in blue? And to head back down to this downward sloping trend line, which I've drawn back here and here. I've touched it. Touched again. Will we come back down or up? Is very, very interesting to see, depending on the summer period, how summer performs. And then Q4, which is a very, very volatile, historically, time for Bitcoin. So that's my thoughts and what I'm looking at. And yeah, I'll just wrap it up there. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this video of just going over some news about Bitcoin, looking at China unbanning at the end of the year. Also, the Fed saying has staying power, will be around for longer than for a long, long time, like gold. Also, looking at Mt. Gox FUD and how that really won't be the reason why Bitcoin goes down. Be more to do with monetary policy, the Fed, more or less, the economy. It's holding up. We'll just blame the dip if it does come in Q4, end of this Q3 period, going into Q4, what would look like after the ETH ETF launches and that. And yeah, the Mt. Gox thing would be interesting to see if they just sell the Bitcoin or do hold onto it. Really interesting to see there. And also just going over the chart of Bitcoin, the summer periods, comparing previous summers from all the way back in 2012. And yeah, I hope you sort of got an understanding of what really happens in summer. There's not really a lot that happens. It's a pretty boring period historically. Up, down, and usually sideways. So just choppy action. So very, very hard period. If you're a trader, to trade in one direction or the other, it's not a very good, interesting, optimistic period. It's more or less in Q4 that the excitement happens to the upside or downside. So, yeah, all right. With that being said, please smash the like, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to stay updated. And I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.